Italian Football Podcast.
Next question comes from G Leali. Says, "What's your prediction for Juventus versus Inter on Saturday Derby d'Italia?"
Okay, well, let's do a preview then of this game. So, first of all, right, let's give some details of the game. It's on Saturday, the September the 13th, slightly early evening time, 1800 in CET in Italy, at Turin, Allianz Stadium. It's, of course, Serie A matchday 3, and the state of play is Juventus have 6 points from 2 games. They beat Parma 2-0 matchday 1, Genoa 1-0. Inter on 3 points. They thrashed Torino 5-0, but then they lost at home 2-1, of course, to Udinese in that surprise defeat. Now, team news. Juventus have Cambiasso suspended for that silly red card against Parma, and Cabal and Miretti still out injured as well. Openda and Zagrova, of course, signed on deadline day, so we'll see if they play. I think Openda will be available for his debut. I don't see him starting. He'll probably be on the bench. Zagrova's coming back from an injury. He definitely won't start. We'll see if he's fit for the bench. We're recording this on Monday. Inter, as I understand it, have no one out at all. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they have no absentees. Everybody is fit. There's no injuries.
Well, so far when we're recording this, there's still a couple of international games to be played. So far, yeah.
Yeah. As for the probable 11s, right, so Juventus will be a 3-4-2-1. Di Gregorio in goal. We're probably looking, again, the same back three, Gatti, Bremer and Kelly, with Kalulu playing slightly out of position at right wing back because Juventus don't have anyone other than João Mario. And then at left wing back, it's a ballottaggio between João Mario and Weston McKennie. There'll be one of those two out. Obviously, both of them will be playing out of position because it doesn't seem like Kostic is really fully trusted to play in that role. It could be Kostic, but it'll be one of those two or one of those three. And then centre midfield will be Locatelli and Thuram, Kefren Thuram. And then the two behind the one, it will be Conceição and Yildiz with probably Jonathan David up front, but don't rule out, Vlahovic, who started the season well. And, there's Openda, who knows, could be a surprise debut for him, but it's probably going to be Jonathan David at the moment. As for Inter, 3-5-2, Sommer in goal, and then the back three. So Bastoni will definitely play left centre-back. And then it's going to be 2 from the 3 of Bisek, Akanji, Acerbi. 2 from 3. Yeah. We'll see if Akanji gets his debut or whether they go safe, and I don't know. And then wing back.
The midfield is Dumfries and DeMarco are going to start, but the midfield is a bit of a conundrum. We don't know if it's going to be Çalhanoğlu as a regista, or Barella, or Sucic. We were not sure. But basically, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Sucic, 3 of them will start. That's all we know. Up front is Lautaro, Thuram if they're fit. But the ballottaggio is Akanji or Sucic. Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Sucic. Like, we'll have to wait and see. This week we'll decide that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, been through the ballottaggios. The importance of this game is very important. Even though it's only match day 3, it is important for both teams. From Juventus's point of view, they two things. First of all, they have a chance to open up a 6-point gap on Inter already, but I don't think that's that significant at this point in the season between Juventus and Inter, those two teams. But I think more importantly, they have a chance to send a message early on in the season that they can be competitive in the Scudettos. I don't really see them. I don't see the depth in the Juventus squad that they can last the distance in this Scudetto race. The backups are just not good enough in the midfield and the defense. But if they can win this, they can send an early message and that this is a competitive team. This is a team that can have a good season. And this is a team that's building something. As for Inter, though, I think it's more important for Inter, not so much between Inter and Juventus, between Inter and Napoli. Inter can't afford to lose. as if they go 6 points. I mean, Napoli got a difficult game as well. They're playing Fiorentina away. There's no guarantee they'll win that. But if they were to go already at this stage of the season 6 points behind Napoli, not only is that significant for the Scudetto race, even though it's this early, but more importantly for Christian Chivu, because losing this game will put massive pressure on Chivu already. 6 points behind, 2 defeats from your first 3 games. I mean, we know the agenda, we know what the narrative's going to be, but rightfully so, because that's going to be big, isn't it? If they lose this game.
If they lose this game, it's Crisi Inter. That's when it will start, and it's going to be very, very difficult to get this back into the horse, to get the shit back into the horse, because there's the criticism will not be of Chivu. The criticism will not be of Oak Tree. The criticism will be personally of Marotta, and it's already started. It's already started with in Italian media saying you can't blame Oak Tree, you can't blame Chivu, you have to blame the people in charge because the mercato wasn't good enough, and so on and so forth. So it's the way that Inter have been handled. So Marotta's more under pressure here, which is interesting. But yeah, and when that happens, he will, then you don't know what will go from there on. But let's remember that it won't be a massive failure. It won't cost them much to sack Chivu. I'm not saying it's going to be sacked if they lose against Juve, but I'm saying that there's going to be a lot of pressure at Inter. They play Ajax immediately afterwards in the Champions League. Then they've got Sassuolo at home, which is always a bogey team, and then Cagliari away, Slavia Prague, Cremonese, and then Roma. And then Cremonese before the international break. So Inter need to be careful. There's not a lot of wiggle room here. So they can't afford to lose. And if they lose big and they lose, if they lose convincingly and they lose in a manner that is embarrassing, listen, then the earth begins to shake under Chivu's feet and all of Inter. That means that the Scudetto race is over before it began. That means they're fighting for their lives in the Champions League. That's not a good place.
Yeah, I think this game's a bigger game for Inter than it is for Juventus, in my opinion. And where the game will be won and lost, from Juventus's point of view, I think that Juventus are weak at wing back for me. They're weak at left wing back. They're weak at wing back in general, but I think defensively they'll be okay on the left with Kalulu. On the right, sorry. On the Juventus's right, they'll be fine with Kalulu defensively. Going forward, not going to get too much on the right, and you're not going to get too much on the left either. But also, I would be a little bit worried defensively on the left as well. This is where Juventus made a mistake in the transfer market. They really needed to sign a right wing back before the window closed, and they tried. They failed, and now it's left them very, very short. They just have one player out, Cambiasso, and look at the wing backs they have to play now. So, that was a mistake, and that's something that Inter can target in this game. I think it's something that teams all season can target. So that's from Juventus' point of view. From Inter's point of view, the other kind of area that I think could be fruitful for Juventus is they have a lot of attacking options now, a lot of strikers, and they will obviously try and make the most of an Inter defense that is under fire and is has looked shaky defensively in these opening games of the season. And when you've got that firepower and you've got sort of like the likes of Conceição, Yildiz, operating in those spaces, I think that's where Juventus will look to try and get into.
I think what we need to look for Juve as well. I think Juve have incredible depth in attack, and I think Juventus will be counter-attacking Inter and try to. If Chivu continues with the suicide of playing with a high defensive line and the balance in midfield not getting that 100% right, Tudor is so cunning, he will just absorb that pressure and hit Inter on the counter, and they have fantastic players to do that. And I mean, Jonathan David, if he's given time and space, Dusan Vlahovic on the counter, Francisco Chico Conceição 1v1, and so on and so forth. Kenan Yildiz. Look, there's lots of players that can hurt Inter on the counter. So I think that's the kind of game that's where I think this game will be won and lost. Has Kivu learned his lesson, or hasn't he? And if he hasn't, this is going to be a very, very long night at the Allianz for Inter. No doubt about that.
Okay.
And
let's finish off with predictions. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1, I think, because I think that from Juventus's point of view, I think they would be happy with a draw. Yes, yeah, obviously they can send out a message, Juventus, by winning this game, and that would be fantastic. But ultimately, I think if it's a draw after 60 minutes, Juventus will look at it and think, we'll take a draw. We'll keep our little 3-point gap on Inter. We'll keep in touch with Napoli, and that'll be fine for us. And I think the same maybe for Inter's point of view. I think if
I'll bite your hand off for a draw.
Yeah, I think with Inter, if they get a draw out of this game, it's something to build on. Calms things down a bit, and yes, okay, they might fall a little bit behind Napoli if Napoli win their game, but at the same time, it's early in the season and they've got the confidence back, and things have settled down. So I think a draw is probably the most likely result in this game.
Yeah. I agree, but I don't think I think Juve are going to win this. I think they're going to win this pretty comfortably. I really think this. I'd bite your hand off for a draw right now. I'd take that easy. But yeah, I'm really worried. I think I'm not confident at all, and I think Juve. I think Tudor is smart enough and cunning enough to have studied Inter well enough and Kivu well enough to know exactly what to do and where and when in the game. And I think Juventus will run out pretty comfortable winners, unfortunately. So we'll see.